Hey, welcome back. I'm Jason, and today I have a photography technique thing. In this package, as you've probably seen by the thumbnail, is a rock. And I am hoping that this rock will help me try something new as a photography technique. What I have in here is Ulexite, also known as TV glass. It's a rock, a clear-ish rock that passes light. Whatever's behind it, it passes it through the front, almost like there's nothing there, like fiber optic glass. So that's what we use for transmitting high-speed internet, fiber optics. It's just glass that reflects the light straight through in a nice path. And that's what this mineral does. Apparently, a couple years ago, it made its rounds on a social media site that I don't subscribe to, but I came across it a couple weeks ago on, I think, a YouTube short or a Facebook short or something like that. At the very end of the video, they showed holding this Ulexite up with a landscape behind it and showing what the landscape looked like passed through this rock. And I said, you know what? That sounds like it could be really cool for a photography technique. So I went looking on eBay for people that sold this, and some of them sold it by the size. They were reasonably priced, but the bigger ones started to get a little more expensive than I wanted to for just playing around with this. If it turns out to be really cool, I might get a bigger piece. But I went and found one from Crystalline Earth Shop. They didn't specify the size, so I was like, I don't know, maybe they're just kind of a random size. So this one, I'm not sure how big it is. It's in this package here. I did specify in the eBay description, I said, I'm trying to use this for photographing landscapes through it. So if you have something that will help with that, I'd appreciate it. Thinking maybe a little larger, a little clearer. So they did leave me a nice note there that says, Jason, this is the clearest one I have at the moment. I hope you like it. So if this is good and we end up liking this, go to @Crystalline Earth Shop on eBay to order your own. But let's crack it open. I've been dying to look at it. Oh, they also sent me some tumbled stones in a pretty little bag. Yeah, I've been dying to open it. All right, so I'm not sure what the size is. Like I said, it was not specified. It was well packaged, and it clearly is still well packaged. So Ulexite was discovered by George Ludwig Ulex, a German chemist, back in 1840, and it can be found in places where you mine for borax and other minerals, usually like in lakes. It's very common in California and Utah, those very mineral-rich lakes. Forms crystals, and then if you cut the crystals, parallel to the direction of the crystalline structure, then it acts as this fiber optic thing. Interesting. Wow, that's a neat shape. See my fingers right through it. Not sure what the 97 means. One of the reasons I specified, I'm doing this for photography is some of the ones I'd seen from other sellers or just photos on the internet showed, lines going through the middle of them. I wanted something that was hopefully a little larger and nice and clean so that I could get a good, hopefully, shot through it. You can see the lines, the structures of the crystal. And so you have to cut parallel to that in order to have the smooth surfaces for the light to go through. And so each one of these is acting like a little fiber optic bit of glass, and it transmits the light from this side to this side and vice versa. I don't know how fragile these are, so I'm being a little delicate. I'd hate to see it shatter. I mean, there are some cracks in it. Not cracks, but just structures. And I'm afraid, if I drop it, it might shatter along one of those. It was well packaged in the bubble wrap. So I want to treat this with a little bit of caution. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this is clear enough to, if this is clear enough to, I'm looking at myself, to do a landscape on or not. Just may not be quite clear enough. So I'm going to try putting there we go. I'm going to try putting a macro lens on the surface of this rock, and hopefully it'll give a cool photo. So I'm thinking focus in right here with the macro lens right on the surface, and then around the outside it'll be completely out of focus, but you'd see a bit of the landscape off to the sides. Hopefully this will make more sense when I actually go and try it. But so now I need to figure out a way to mount this, because when you're using a macro lens, you have to hold it really still, because the focus of a macro lens is, you know, millimeters. So I'm going to take a moment and try to figure out how to mount this, and then we'll go out doing some photography. So hopefully this comes across. But you can see it looks like the image is directly on the surface of the rock. If I go down to macro mode, yeah, we'll see. It might need a lot of light in order for this to work. So I had to look around the house and came up with a couple options for mounting. So I want to put it on the C stand. It's got a huge wide base so I can take it out. Not going to have to worry about the wind blowing. It's got just a tiny little ball head so I can angle it a bit. As I pointed out, mine isn't cut perfectly straight. So when I photograph it, or to get the clearest picture, I like that straight onto the camera. To get the clearest picture, I have to tilt it just ever so slightly one way or the other. I found this duck removable adhesive tape. Supposedly it's removable. It did stick very well to the bottom of it, so I thought, well, maybe I could stick it on something. But then I kept looking. I thought maybe I'll take some Velcro zip ties and just go all the way around it and zip it to something. But then I found this cell phone holder for your taking photos, and it has a mounting screw on the back and the bottom. And so I thought that would look perfect if I mount it here, and it just so happens to hold on to it almost perfectly. And so I thought this kind of looks like a nice frame. I didn't want like some ugly like clamp, like a hardware clamp or something pinching it. But this doesn't look too bad. Then I can photograph this, and hopefully it's not like the ugliest thing. It's worth a try. I think I want to go with this method first, and if it even works in the future, I may find something that looks a little nicer, maybe frame it or 3D print something that would hold it better to make the Instagram photos that much better. But let's try this for now, just to see if this idea I have of photographing landscapes through it even has any merit. Hi. So I'm out at the park with a nice landscape in front of me, just something basic. The light's going down, so I'm not sure how that's going to affect this. But as I'm standing here with it set up, I'm noticing I can't see anything. I have no idea how the people did it in the video I saw, but let me get this in focus and show you what I'm looking at. So you can see with this macro just how razor sharp this focus is. So there, I think I'm focused right on the stone. You can see there's nothing visible in it. When I kind of get it lined up to where the fibers are pointing directly at the lens, it kind of quote unquote clears up. But as I was saying, I just think the focus area is impractical. I'm taking all of this light, this huge area, and bringing it into such a small thing with no lensing effect that it's just washing out. When I was in the office, I had to hold it right up to my eye or right up to the piece of paper in order for it to pass through. So I don't know how that video I saw did it. I wish I'd paid more attention than just, hey, that looks like a cool idea, and then lost the video and decided to order one of these. Jason from the future here. I've been trying to figure out where to put this interlude to kind of explain what's going on. I went and found the original video, and it's by a channel called the Action Lab, or in this case, Action Lab Shorts. And in a second, I'm going to show you the video. But in my mind's eye, this is not how I remembered it. So I'm going to click play here, and we'll just mute the audio. So you can see he's moving it around, and there's a video playing behind it. And my brain, my memory of this, not having remembered exactly the video, instead of where it's black around his fingers and stuff, it was the landscape behind it. So I thought I was looking at the landscape and he was holding the rock in front of the landscape. Now I'm going to explain how he did this in a second. I actually finally went and found the original video as well. But we're going to proceed on with my confusion before I end up figuring it out the same way that he kind of did. And then at the end, I'll explain how I think I improved it. Because this most certainly doesn't work. I do have one last trick to try though. And I did bring a wide angle lens. So I'm wondering if I hold that in front of the Ulexite, if it will take all of this light and focus it down onto the back and then shine through. If it doesn't, then this video is a bust. So maybe it was just trickery and I got taken for a loop. So I'm gonna look at it. See. But that is not the style I was looking for. If I hold my phone up here, you can see it's blurry. And I basically touch the phone to the Ulexite, and now you can see it through on the surface. So zoomed in, that's kind of the look I was going for. So that's pretty much what I was looking for, was the image on the Ulexite with a blurry background in the back. And with this macro lens, it's just shallow enough that you can focus on the surface of the Ulexite, and the rest of the image is blurred out slightly due to the macro lens. Well, that's disappointing. So this whole video is a bust. At least with this size of Ulexite, you cannot use it for photography. Maybe a bigger piece would filter more of the light straight through. But like even getting this close, it's too much that's trying to be processed through this area. And all I see is just kind of a light with a bit of shadows. All right, so now I'm going to attempt to take a shot using the way I think it was probably done in this video. So I took a photo of my landscape. I even edited it a little bit. And so now I'm going to fill the screen, and I've got the macro lens moved up closer, and I'm focused right on the surface. So you can see, you can't tell that there's a screen behind it. Just looks like the landscape. I've got the surface in focus. It's razor thin. Every time I bump the tripod, it goes out of focus, but something like that. Okay, so now I'm going to switch over to photography mode. Yeah, I really need this phone on a tripod as well. There you go. And 1, 2, 3. Let's see how I did. It's crooked. So it's crooked, and that's because I had to get the fiber optics pointing directly at the lens. So let's try that again. I wish I could brighten up my phone screen, but I can't. And it really matters the angle you have your Ulexite to your lens. You got to get those fibers perfect. Get my thumb out of the way. And yeah, I'm showing you on screen right now. This is the shot I got, and in my opinion, this is probably how they took the photo, because otherwise you can't do it. The item that you're photographing has to be directly contacting the Ulexite. Then you can see the image on the screen pass through to the Ulexite. So if I really wanted to, I could mount this all in one piece. I could probably do a live view passing my phone's camera straight through without having taken the photo first. But you could mount them all together. This would never know that it was a phone in there. So not every technique we try is going to revolutionize the world. It is a unique idea, but it's not what I was hoping for, where you just set it like this and magically capture the landscape. Well, so if I kind of gave up with this technique at the park, then you may be wondering how I got that montage at the beginning of this video. Well, on the way home, I had big brain moment. Remember how I said, because it was literally 30 seconds for you, take your phone, hold the glass up to it, and project. Well, that's tricky because you're trying to get everything lined up vertically, but what if you make it horizontal? Yeah, so I've taken an iPad, laid it down on a flat surface, and then put the glass on that. That way that is at a stationary distance from the camera, and then I've pointed the camera at the right angle for the fiber optics, because remember I told you mine wasn't quite perpendicular. Put that there, got a nice angle, and right now I have it pumped into this Atomos Ninja so you can see what the camera's seeing. And when I bring this into focus, this is the Nikkor 105 macro lens. When I start to bring this into focus, if I go the other way, you can see that glass is kind of invisible, like right there. Pretty neat. And if I zoom in, you can see I've got the onion skin. I guess it's not onion skins. I've got the outline highlights turned on. I can get the glass perfectly sharp, right? And now if I zoom out, I can see at this distance, everything's kind of in focus. But if I zoom in, you can see, there is some blurriness between there and the front of the glass. I think that's the lowest aperture I can do. Oh, no, I can go even more. There, that's going to give us even more separation. And get that focus right on the glass. So there you can see the front of the glass is in focus, but I don't know, what is that? 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches? That's enough distance to give separation at this focal level to create blurriness. So now if I zoom out, yeah, there you can really get it. You see how where the glass is in focus, but then the rest of the image is out. So if I take a photo, and I'm going to crop in on that, and that is how I'm going to do the montage. I'm going to go through here and select some of the other photos that I've taken. Maybe something like that. And the way I'm making it smaller is I'm just going to edit, and that's making it smaller, and then I can adjust where the glass is. So I think that's the best way to use this technique. Take a photo you already like, lay it on a nice bright iPad, get your focal plane locked, and then just zoom in and crop, and that's how I'm going to, I guess, use this technique, and I think that's probably how everyone else is doing it. Now it's time to reveal the final secrets. At this point, I thought I'd figured out how the secret sauce was made, so I started editing the video. But as I was editing it, I just couldn't get out of my mind trying to figure out what it was that I'd seen, what sent me down this long, tedious path. So I went digging through my YouTube history, and after an hour, I finally found the original short. As I already said, this is from the Action Lab, but I couldn't find a link to the original video anywhere, so I thought maybe it was just a short. And again, looking at it, it's clearly a video moving around on a black background. and I'd only recreated a static image. So I said, how was this done? Well, I went and started simple. I took my iPad again, and this time I laid the rock and played a video on it. It's technically upside down, but that's okay. So I recorded this. Okay, I now had a video, and I took a screenshot of it and brought it into Photoshop. At that point, then I traced around the rock carefully and created a mask. So when you have a mask, everything that's not in the mask is either hidden or shown. So I brought the original video into Premiere Pro, which we can see right there, and I put the mask on it. And now it's hiding everything. Okay, well, there, I kind of did what he did. I had the black background with a video playing on it. That's nearly identical. It's not moving yet. We'll get to that. But I said the black is cool, but I really still hadn't got it out of my mind that I wanted it out of focus in the background with the rest of the video. So I came up with a solution. I took the original video and copied it, and I just applied a blur. So I applied a blur to the video, and then when I stack the original video on top and mask out only where the rock is, suddenly the rock is in focus and everything else is blurry. And I now have a video exactly as I'd remembered it. So that was great, but it still wasn't moving. So my brain went to doing rotoscoping, which was why this video took so long from the time I started to now editing and releasing. My hair has clearly gone longer because this took a long time. So I went and recorded another video, and this time I moved it around. And you can see I put markers on there. They're really rudimentary markers. This is actually my first time really trying to use markers. But I moved it around and recorded the video again. All right, so how am I going to make that work? Well, then I brought the whole thing into After Effects and started layering up masks and replacing those markers and tracing out my fingers. I actually tried to do the hand in After Effects, and it never really worked very well. This hand that we're looking at, I did using Final Cut Pro 11 with its magnetic masking feature, and it worked so good. So I highly recommend that. But it would not have worked for the Ulexite because the edges are just not sharp enough. It would have never found those. But so I used After Effects to track those markers, so that way I had rotation and movement, and I could make my mask follow that path. So I had this mask, and then I brought that back into Premiere Pro, and I did the exact same thing. I laid this mask on top of a blurry background, and now finally I had it moving. And in my opinion, this is better looking than what he had done. But it still wasn't what he had done. And especially because I finally found the original video. So he starts to approach the Ulexite from the side, and you can see the image start to form. And clearly this wasn't done with a mask. See right there, you can see it. And then he comes on top of it, and you can see the image, but it's black around it. How was that done? If I'm going to turn on the audio, and I wish I'd found this video from the beginning because it would have saved me all of this tedium, but he's going to say in a second that he puts it on his phone screen.
It on my phone. It's as though the stone is now a TV screen.
Okay, so he said he put it on his phone, but how is it black? Well, if I keep playing, he's going to pull it off. And there you can see the image. And you figured it out yet? He took a piece of black paper and cut out the shape of the Ulexite and then he slid the paper and the Ulexite around at the same time on top of an iPad or something. And you can see when he puts it back on, he doesn't quite get it lined up the same way. And that revealed how he did it. So his way was much simpler, and if I'd known that, I would have finished this in half an hour, but I think in the end, my solution gives a much better result. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video or found it interesting, please consider giving it a thumbs up. It's going to help other people find my video when they're looking for this type of thing. I do have a Patreon or the YouTube membership where I post behind the scenes things that you can only see if you're a member. And if you found this video interesting, why don't you check out my tutorial on how to do a motion time lapse following the Milky Way across the sky next. But until next time, I'm doing what I love. Keep doing what you love. Thanks for watching.